Yo, what's good everybody, and welcome back to Kazzy Bear TV, where here in a brief moment, we are going to be going over my NFL Week 5 predictions. Week 4 wasn't too terrible for me. I didn't get to 12 plus wins like I like to. I mentioned that in a previous video, but I finished with a record of 10-6. Currently overall in the season, I have a record of 42-22. And the reason why I'm not too upset about it is because, like I said last week, these are some really good matchups. A very hard week to call this early on in the season. And in previous years, I've definitely had some way worse weeks than this. So 10-6, not going to be too mad about it, but as always, we have to continue to be better. Now, for week 4, we did kind of hop back on that injury train. Luckily, a majority of the injuries weren't too serious. I mean, you might have a player missing a week or two here and there, but nothing long term. I mean, yeah, there were a couple guys like the Buffalo Bills, Tre'Davious White, he's going to be out for the season. And T. Higgins, he has a significant rib injury. He's going to miss some time. But for the most part, I will say that most of the injuries should not cause too much of an effect when it comes to the teams. So yeah, week 5, looking to have my best week yet. But before we get into that, this video is presented by Chesco Sports, your one-stop shop for sports betting content. Make sure you guys head over there, give them a like, follow, subscribe. The information is in the description below. And of course, most importantly to me, make sure you guys like this video, give it a quick share, subscribe to my channel. And with all that being said, let's get to my week 5 predictions.
Okay, know I gotta build a better version of myself, and that's on baby. Confident to say I'm pretty as my lady, but your shorty says she want me cause my jawline is amazing. Cheating is bad, throw out the flag, trying to chase a bag to carry me and all my people straight to Vegas. Build a crib as big as many football stadiums, and you best believe I'm repping for the city that I came from. Speaking of facts, throw out the flag.
All right, kicking off Thursday night football, we have a potential snooze fest. We got the Chicago Bears taking on the Washington Commanders. As if it wasn't bad enough already that Thursday night football games are notorious for being super boring and just terrible to watch. And now we have to watch the winless Chicago Bears take on the flip of the coin Washington Commanders. And what I mean by that is when it comes to Washington, you'll have a game or two where they're fun to watch and they play well, and you'll have a streak of games where they look remotely close to the Chicago Bears. Now, it's too early on to tell which Commanders team we're going to get this season, but I mean, come on, you guys know what I mean. The Washington Commanders have just not been a fun football team to watch for quite some time. As for the Chicago Bears, they sent the house. They used all their power-ups to take down the Denver Broncos, and they failed. And that is sad. The Chicago Bears are simply just an extremely bad football team, and the Washington Commanders are decent. I mean, honestly, what do you guys want me to say about this game? The Washington Commanders should win this game, and they most likely will. Going with Washington to win big time, 24-13 over Chicago. All right, now moving on to the London game. We got the Jacksonville Jaguars taking on the Buffalo Bills. Jacksonville, despite coming off a win against the Atlanta Falcons, they don't really look that good right now. Now, I will say that I think that they are definitely not playing to their potential, but I'm not going to sit there and say that they're a good team right now. They look extremely mediocre, and if they want to beat a team like the Buffalo Bills, they're going to need to bring their A+++ game. It's as simple as that. So now, as for the Buffalo Bills, coming off a huge win against the Miami Dolphins, the Buffalo Bills started off the season 0-1, and they were pretty much looked at as a team that was going to struggle. And now they're sitting looking back at us like, you thought. And they are looking pretty damn good. So now they did lose Tre'Davious White for the rest of the season, which is a huge deal. And I think that the Jacksonville Jaguars will capitalize when it comes to the pass game because of that. But I mean, to say that the Jaguars will go toe-to-toe with the Bills and beat them, not right now. Not the way the Jaguars are playing. The Buffalo Bills would need to play the way that they played week 1 in order for them to lose this game, and that's just not going to happen. Now, I do think that the Jacksonville Jaguars will play a lot better this week, and this game's probably going to be a shootout, but I'm going to go with the team that's playing the better football right now, and that is the Buffalo Bills. Going with the Bills to win 27-21 over the Jaguars. All right, moving on to the first of the Sunday noon games. We got the Houston Texans taking on the Atlanta Falcons. Who is the better team, guys? No, seriously, who's the better team? All right, wait. Even better question. Who has the better quarterback? Who has the better head coach? Who has the better defense? Who has the better receiving core? And think about this now. We know who has the better running back. I mean, yeah, if you've been watching the Houston Texans this year, I think you're on the same page that I am. And it's looking like the Texans are the much better team than the Atlanta Falcons. First off, DeMeco Ryans is going to come prepared, and I expect that defense to be flying around like crazy. Because, I mean, it's obvious what the Atlanta Falcons are going to do in offense. I mean, they're obviously going to run their offense through Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier, and they're just going to continue to struggle to use their weapons on the outside. As for the Houston Texans, they're going to continue to do what they've been doing. CJ Stroud's going to continue to play very well, and I expect him to have a huge game yet again. Nico Collins, Tank Dell, and I've been waiting for far too many weeks now. This has to be the emergence of Dameon Pierce. Huge Dameon Pierce game pending. I guarantee it this time. I've said it before the season started. I'm going to say it again. The Atlanta Falcons are not a good football team. They are very fraudulent. And the Houston Texans are, I'm going to say it, they're a good football team. They're not great yet. I need them to actually be a very good opponent, and they haven't had a game like that yet. But hate it or love it, they are good. And they're going to destroy the Atlanta Falcons. Going with the Houston Texans to win 27-15 over Atlanta. Watch. All right, next up, we got the Carolina Panthers taking on the Detroit Lions. I mean, you know, sometimes when you have matchups like this, you got to kind of play around with like different scenarios and think of all the ways that the massive underdog could win this game, because honestly it is any given Sunday. We all know that. We've already seen a few crazy upsets so far this season, and I think the only way that the Carolina Panthers can beat the Detroit Lions, this is the only scenario that I came up with, and that is if a meteorite just hits Ford Stadium and completely wipes out the entire Detroit Lions team. The Lions are looking and are a legitimate top 10 team in the NFL, and the Carolina Panthers are bottom 3, and they might actually be the worst. I mean, there's just no way that they're going to beat the Detroit Lions. Going with the Lions to win massively, 40-17 over the Panthers. All right, next game, we got the Tennessee Titans taking on the Indianapolis Colts. This one should be good. Both teams are 2-2 right now, and I would honestly say this is probably about as evenly matched as a game could be. Anthony Richardson continues to show that he is the man in Indy. They just lost a very close overtime game against a Matthew Stafford-led Rams team, who apparently is not bad at all. But they were this close to being 3-1 instead of 2-2. So let's not pretend that the Colts are not a decent football team. They are very decent. And as for the Titans, I don't know what's really going on with them. I mean, they did just come off a massive win against the Bengals. But I mean, honestly, what does that say about the Tennessee Titans? Because the Bengals look like a bottom 5 team right now. So I don't know. But I will say this, it looks like the Tennessee Titans are finding ways to get Derrick Henry going. I know there was a lot of speculation that he was on the decline and the end was near when it came to Derrick Henry and his career is about to be over and all this stuff. And I was just like, yes and no. I mean, yeah, we are getting to that point where we're going to have that conversation here soon. But Derrick Henry's not done yet. But I mean, yeah, like I said, if you look at it on paper, this is a pretty evenly matched game. I could foresee it being very low scoring, so my prediction might be on the higher end, believe it or not. But I'm going to go with the Colts to win at home, 20-19 over the Titans. I could just see them converting more when it matters and making less mistakes when it's all said and done. All right, moving on to the next matchup, we got the New York Giants taking on the Miami Dolphins. And honestly, like I said about the Panthers-Lions matchup, it's clear as day who the massive underdog is. That's the New York Giants. So let's take a second and think about what scenario could happen to where the New York Giants knock off the Miami Dolphins on the road. And yeah, exactly like I said about the Lions game, we're going to have to rely on a natural disaster to happen to the entire Miami Dolphins team for the Giants to win this game. So I took a moment and I did check the 7-day forecast for the weather in Miami, and it's not looking like there's any hurricanes pending or severe storms. So just not likely going to happen, and that means the Giants are dead. Going with the Dolphins to win 31-20 over the Giants, but this should be 50-0. All right, moving on to the next matchup, we got the New Orleans Saints taking on the New England Patriots. Well, first off, the Patriots lost Christian Gonzalez for some time, and they lost Matthew Judon. That is not good because the Patriots look pretty bad right now, and they're going to need all the help that they can get. Now, I will say, I think that if they had those two guys, this game could possibly go in the Patriots' direction. I mean, Foxborough, despite the Patriots playing pretty bad right now, it's a hard place to play. And the Saints are definitely a beatable team. Last week, they looked terrible. Granted, they brought back Derek Carr, who didn't really do much. I think he probably should have took that week off to deal with his injury. But I would say right now that the Saints definitely have a much better team than the Patriots. And I'm actually surprised to see that the Patriots are slight favorites at home with those injuries to Matthew Judon and Christian Gonzalez. Most likely probably going to be pretty low scoring and very boring. But I'm going to go with the Saints to win by a field goal, 16-13 over the Patriots. All right, moving on to the next game, we got the Baltimore Ravens taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers. This was probably supposed to be a really good game, but unfortunately, the Steelers don't really have an offense. And on top of that, last week, Kenny Pickett suffered a knee injury. He's most likely going to play. Early diagnosis is looking like an MCL sprain. But I mean, I'm not really sure if it mattered if he played or not because Kenny Pickett looks terrible this season. The only thing going for the Pittsburgh Steelers is their defense. Now, as for the Baltimore Ravens, coming off a huge win against the Deshaun Watson-less Cleveland Browns. I mean, they did what they were supposed to do, and they handled business and blew them out on the road. And I would say right now, the Ravens are in a must-win situation. They are ahead of their division, and if they get this win on the road, that is a great position to be in because that would give the Ravens 3 division wins early on. The Bengals are struggling and probably going to continue to struggle. The Cleveland Browns have not figured out how to get that offense rolling, same with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and the Ravens just look like the clear-cut favorites to come out of that division. They have to win this game, and they're going to. Going with Baltimore to win big time, 23-14 over the Steelers. All right, now time for the afternoon games. We got the Cincinnati Bengals taking on the Arizona Cardinals. And who would have thought at the beginning of this season that we'd be looking at this matchup and we'd go, this should be a pretty good game. Well, if you raised your hand and you said you're a liar. The Cardinals are sneaky decent. They just can't close, and I think that they're tanking, obviously. But the Bengals are bad. The Bengals look very, very bad. And I know a lot of people are going to say, well, you know, Joe Burrow and his calf injury. There's no excuse. When you're supposed to be that great of a quarterback and you're choosing to play through this injury, that's on you. And you look terrible. I do not feel sorry for you. You could sit out a few weeks and heal up and come back and give your team an opportunity to maybe go on a streak, 4 to 5 wins. But I don't think that the Bengals are that confident, which is why they're having Joe Burrow play, and they still look terrible. Now, don't forget, like I mentioned in the intro, T. Higgins is going to be out. This is going to be weird. It's going to be very, very weird. I do think that Jamar Chase is going to have a day, because he pretty much is the only target. I mean, Tyler Boyd will get his share. But all in all, seeing how Jamar Chase was acting after the last game, he is going to be looking to get a lot of targets because he is pissed. This could go extremely good for the Bengals or terribly wrong. It's kind of hard to call it at this point, but I will take the Bengals to win this one only because I think that Arizona is tanking. Going with Cincinnati to win, 21-20 over the Cardinals. All right, moving on to the next matchup. We got my Philadelphia Eagles taking on the LA Rams. Stay away from this game. Stay away from this game because the Philadelphia Eagles are not playing their best football right now, and the LA Rams, I think, are. On top of that, the LA Rams are at home, and I think that they have a lot of confidence. And I would too. After watching the Philadelphia Eagles the last 4 weeks, we have yet to play a contender this year, and we are just getting by with these wins. And I mean, I do believe we will figure it out and we will be fine, but for right now, we're just winning games because we have better athletes. But there is just no reason why the Eagles have not had a complete game yet, and that concerns me. We're heading into LA. The Rams look good. Matthew Stafford is playing very well, and his receivers are looking hungrier than ever. And our passing defense is not looking the best. So this game is going to be a lot closer than what it should. But I still have to go with my Eagles to win. Call me being a homer, but we have the better team. And like I just mentioned, we just are super deep, and we have the athletes to get the job done. Probably won't be pretty, but going with the Eagles to win. 24-23 over the Rams. All right, on to the next game. We got the New York Jets taking on the Denver Broncos. And I will say this about this matchup. It should be a decently competitive game. But you guys think about this. What's more impressive? The Denver Broncos lucking out and barely getting a win over the Chicago Bears, or Zach Wilson and the New York Jets going toe-to-toe and almost beating the Kansas City Chiefs? No, I mean, like, seriously, think about that. The Jets beat the Bills week 1, lost a couple games, and they damn near beat the Chiefs week 4. It's obvious the Jets defense is real, and I think it's obvious that Zach Wilson may not be as bad as everybody likes to make him seem. So when it comes to the Jets taking on a team like the Denver Broncos, I'm going to base it off of what I saw last week against the Bears. I think that the Jets would annihilate the Bears 100%. I wouldn't be surprised if the New York Jets beat the Bears by like 25 plus points. I think the Jets defense will simply win them this game. And yeah, I'm well aware that Patrick Surtain is most likely going to shadow Garrett Wilson, and I still think Garrett Wilson will have an okay day as long as Zach Wilson can get some time in the pocket. But when it comes to defenses, I'm liking the Jets defense a lot more than I'm liking the Denver Broncos defense. And the Broncos have not showed me enough on offense for me to sit there and say that Russ is going to carve up that defense. And on top of that, I'm not even sure if Javonte Williams is going to be playing. So, yeah, the Broncos should struggle, and I think that they're going to have a hard time against this Jets defense. Going with New York to win 17-10 over Denver. All right, moving on to the next game. We got the Kansas City Chiefs taking on the Minnesota Vikings. And I will go ahead and say this. If there's going to be an upset, this is going to be the game. The Minnesota Vikings aren't necessarily a bad team. They just have a problem with closing out games. And the Kansas City Chiefs, this previous game, has showed us that they are not invincible. But I mean, for the Minnesota Vikings to win this game at home, they're going to need to play perfect. Can they play perfect? I think that they can. But as for right now, with their inability to close out games, I have to give the Chiefs the slight edge. I think that this game will surprise a lot of people, and I expect the Minnesota Vikings offensive playmakers to go crazy. But at the end of the day, I just think that the Vikings are ready to call quits, and they are not looking forward to playing a team like the Kansas City Chiefs. Going with the Chiefs to win 27-21 over Minnesota. All right, moving on to Sunday Night Football, and this is my game of the week. We got the Dallas Cowboys taking on the San Francisco 49ers. Both of these teams do not like each other. They have had back-to-back run-ins in the playoffs, and the San Francisco 49ers have got the best of the Cowboys both times. The San Francisco 49ers are just simply the Cowboys' kryptonite. But this should be a good game, and it should be very competitive because we deserve that. We can expect the Cowboys' defense to continue to thrive, and we can also expect the 49ers' defense to do the same thing as well. This will be a very fast-paced game. Both offenses, despite a few turnovers here and there, will do just fine. But we know how this story goes when these two teams meet, and that is San Francisco is going to get the best of the Dallas Cowboys. Going with the 49ers to win a close one, 30-27 over Dallas. And finally, for Monday Night Football, we got the Green Bay Packers taking on the Las Vegas Raiders. Just another game that's kind of difficult to call because neither team has found their identity yet. The Raiders are dealing with a few injuries. Devonta Adams did get hurt last week, but he should be okay to play, but he might be a little sore. And I'm not really sure the status of Jimmy Garoppolo, not like it matters because he's a very subpar quarterback. As for the Packers, I mean, it can only go up from here. You had the long break after getting beat down by the Detroit Lions last Thursday, and now you're on the road, but you have your playmakers back. They got some reps in last week, and now is the perfect time to, prove to the rest of the people that, hey, you guys aren't a bad team, and Jordan Love can be that guy. I haven't lost all faith in the Packers yet, but they need to prove it to me this week, and I think that they will. The Packers are going to win a close one, 17-16 over the Raiders. And there you have it. My Week 5 picks are officially in, and per usual, I want to give you guys my 3-leg lock, which is a 3-leg parlay that I feel will be a for sure hit by the end of this week's games. I'm taking the Washington Commanders money line, the Philadelphia Eagles money line, and the New York Jets money line. Get that bet locked in, and hopefully you and I can make some money when it's all said and done. And as always, if you guys want to dive deeper and check out my best bets, make sure you guys go into the description and hit that link to my betting guide below. But yeah, that's all I got for you guys today. Make sure if you haven't already, please like the video, leave a comment, let me know what you think of my picks, give it a quick share, and last but not least, subscribe to the channel. I believe I'm just under 300, so trying to reach that next milestone. And as always, good luck to your teams, fantasy football, and in real life. And until the next video, as always, go Birds.